श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सावण रघुनाथां नितां तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नारायणं नमस्कृतं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Thank you very much. With the participation and interest of all of you, by the blessings of the Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, we were able to cover the first two cantos. The first two cantos of Srimad Bhgavatam is compared to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. This is compared to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Pado yadiyo prathama dutiyaha. So first two cantos of Bhagavatam, these are Sri Krishna's lotus feet. So if we are studying, if we are remembering, if we are sharing these first two cantos, then we are worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And third and the fourth canto, Tritiya Turiya Patito Yad Uru. The third canto and the fourth canto are his thighs. Of course, Lord Chaitanya says that Granth Rupa Bhagavate Krishna Avatar. That Srimad Bhagavatam is the form of Krishna in the book form. Granth Rupa Bhagavate Krishna Avatar. So various cantos are compared to various limbs. So we will seek the blessings to begin the third canto. It is a big canto and many various topics and personalities are discussed in this canto. This canto has more than 30 chapters. Yeah, this canto has and out of the 10 topics, many topics are discussed and covered, but predominantly it is Sarga and Visarga, creation and subcreation. And so far in the first two cantos, what we saw the conversation was between Sudha Goswami and the sages assembled under the leadership of Sonak Rishi. And then we saw the conversation between Sukhdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. But here from the third canto, we will see conversation in reference to Maitreya Muni and Vidurji. So the third canto is having 33 chapters. So if we go that, but in 1 month, possibly we are able to do one chapter. So it will take almost 3 years. It will take 3 years to complete. We will see if we can, increase the pace and increase the frequency also. So we begin the third canto. Mamta, switch on the video. Important. We are not impersonal people.
Yes, Prabhuji, कर
The
रही हूँ।
entire process of Bhakti Yoga is personalism. The other two aspects are both impersonal. The first one is Brahman, which is impersonal, and Paramatma also is not fully manifest. Okay, so we will begin the. Just call Manoram Prabhu, Ravindra Prabhu, call him. And where is Dayashil, Ramya?
प्रभुजी वो वॉशरूम गया।
ठीक है। पूरे दिन भर में अभी 8:30 बजे हम क्लास चालू करते हैं, उसी समय बाकी सब काम याद आते हैं। इसका मतलब है भागवतम में इंटरेस्ट है नहीं, फिर आ नहीं सकता, फिर लाया नहीं जा सकता। जिनको इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं पता है उनको इंटरेस्ट कभी नहीं आएगा। Okay, you can see the screen. So we begin the third canto, and it begins with, of course, Shukdev Goswami. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evametad Pura Prishto Maitriyo Bhagavan Kila Shattara Vanam Pravishtena Tyaktva Swagraham Riddhimat. So Shukdev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Shukdev Goswami said, O king, after Vidur, the great devotee renounced his prosperous home and entered the forest, he asked these very questions of his grace Maitri Rishi. So where is this reference coming from? So far in the first two canto, did we discuss about Vidur and Maitreya anywhere? Was there any mention anywhere? Did anyone notice that? Was there any mention? So from where? I mean, all of a sudden, how this, bombshell has been dropped by Shukdev Goswami? That, O king, after Vidur the great devotee renounced his prosperous home and entered the forest, he asked these very questions of his grace Maitreya Rishi. So what is the connection? Who would like to answer? What is the connection? How this is coming? How Maitreya and Vidur Samvad is coming into picture or into play? Ramya's hand is up. Very good. Very confident. Yes, Ramya?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभुजी। प्रभुजी चैप्टर का नंबर याद नहीं आ रहा है, पर जिसमें धृतराष्ट्र को विदुर आते हैं, वो वाला चैप्टर क्या था? वहां पे युधिष्ठिर महाराज विदुर जी से पूछते हैं कि आप होली प्लेसेस में किन किन साधुओं से मिले थे या फिर क्या क्या किया था?
No, see, again I am reading. Please hear attentively. That is different. That was, before the Pandavas retired timely. That was the chapter where Pandavas retired timely. Okay. But here, what Shukdev Goswami is bringing into play, he is saying that the great devotee renounced his prosperous home and entered the forest. There he came back from the forest. Then we saw that verse, na? Tirtha kurvanti tirthani. That verse was discussed. So he asked this very question of his grace Maitreya Rishi. So here is the connection. So the questions that were asked by Maharaj Parikshit. So before, in the second canto, what was the reference given? The same questions were asked by Narad Muni to Brahmaji. And now Shukdev Goswami is presenting from a different viewpoint. And he says, the same very questions were asked by Vidurji to his grace Maitreya Rishi. So now the conversation between these two saintly persons will come into action. Yadva ayam mantra kridova, yadva ayam mantra kridavo, Bhagavan Akhileshwara. Pauravendra graham hitva pravivesha atmasat kritam. What else is there to say about the residential house of the Pandavas? Wow. Shri Krishna, the Lord of everything, acted as your minister. He used to enter, one moment. Very beautiful verse. Let us see the verse again. Yadva ayam mantra kridova. Mantra krit Bhagwan Akhileshwara. What to speak of the house where I am Sri Krishna? He acted like a minister. Sri Krishna, the Lord of everything, acted like your minister. Minister means one who is serving. He used to enter that house as if it were his own. Pauravendra Grahan Hitva. So Pauravendra Graham Hitva. Hitva means to give up. And Pravivesha Atmasat Kritam. He used to enter that house as if it was his own, and he did not care at all for Duryodhana's house. According to the Gaudiya Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva philosophy, anything which satisfies the senses of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is also Sri Krishna. Little bewildering. Anything which satisfies the senses of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is also Sri Krishna. Prabhupada gives example. For example, Sri Vrindavan Dham is not different from Sri Krishna. Tad Dhamam Vrindavanam. We make this invocation whenever we go to Vrindavan. Aradhyo Bhagwan Brajesh Tanaya Tad Dhamam Vrindavanam. So as we worship, Aradhya means as we worship. Whom do we worship? Aradhyo Bhagwan Brajesh Tanaya, who is the son of Brajesh, Nanda Maharaj. Tad Dhamam Vrindavanam. So his abode is also to be worshipped accordingly, because there is no difference. How there is no difference? How is the abode and the Lord the same? Or why are to be they to be worshipped the same? Our Gaudiya philosophy that everything is distinct, it is not one, but why it is to be worshipped as Krishna? And here Prabhupada is opening the statement by saying it is as Krishna. It is the same. Anything which satisfies the senses of the Lord Sri Krishna is only Krishna. How? What is the philosophical understanding? Bole, you should be expert. Immediately you should answer. Purushottam?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Because the place is empowered different.
No, not the correct understanding. Empowered, so many things are empowered by Krishna. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam srimad urjitam eva tat tat eva vigachatvam mam eko amsha sambhava. He is empowering so many things. Entire 10th canto Bhagavad Gita is empowering. It is not the proper philosophical understanding. Manoram Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Once we discussed that Lord Krishna's name, fame, quality, pastimes, everything is same Prabhuji. That there was a verse actually.
How? What is it? What is the philosophical understanding? How it is same? How can it be same? Is it one? Then what is the difference between us and the Mayavadis? Mayavadis are saying everything is one, everything is Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. Only the confidence is with Ramya. She is clear in philosophy, no doubt. Oh, you are raising your hand, huh? How? Wait, I have not asked you. Please remain silent. How Prabhupada is making this very emphatic statement? Anything which satisfies the senses of Lord Sri Krishna is also Krishna. How? Ravindra Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Lord's first expansion is Balram, and Balram serves in various way. He is also expand himself as Dham. So in this way,
Acha, ठीक है. You are correct, but what is the philosophy? Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva. Where is the Abheda? There is Bheda or not? First you understand. When Prabhupada says the Gaudiya philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva. So first there is Bheda and then there is Abheda. Bheda means that there is difference and Abheda means that there is oneness. So simultaneous, this is inconceivable. That there is simultaneous difference and oneness. You must understand this philosophy very clearly. 99.999% people are confused. They don't have clarity. Even if spending so many years, clarity is not there. What is the oneness? What is the tattva? You should know the tattva. Yes, Ramya? You try. Unmute and speak. अनम्यूट करके बोलो. रम्या आपने हाथ उठाया था ना.
प्रभु जी जो रविंद्र प्रभु जी बोल रहे थे सेम आंसर मेरा भी था प्रभु जी.
इनकम्प्लीट है भैया, इनकम्प्लीट है. अर्ध कुकुट न्याय है. हाफ हैंड लॉजिक. What is the dham? It is an expansion of the Lord. Okay? An expansion of the expansion of the expansion. As you explained. Yes? And it is also the energy of the Lord. What do we say every day? Nam Namakari Bahuda Nij Sarv. Nij Sarv.
Shakti.
Shakti. So it is the energy of the Lord. When the energy of the Lord is engaged in the service of the Lord, it is utilized to its best benefit. It is spiritual. It is completely spiritual. And the spiritual principle is Shakti, Shakti Matayor Abheda. Have you not heard this? Shakti, Shakti Matayor Abheda. That there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. That is, we say Nam, Roop, Gun, Leela, Dham and Parikar. समझ में आ रहा है? नहीं समझ में आ रहा है? खाली मुंडी मत हिला देना, हाँ मत करना, थोड़ी बुद्धि लगाओ. What is that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita? सिद्धांत जानिया चित्ते ते ना करिए ऑलस. If you have to understand the principle, you should not be lazy or crazy. So on that principle, it is the same. But there is difference. What is the difference now? Tell me. This is the oneness. This is Abheda. And what is the Bheda? Bolo, it is so simple. Pradeep, what is the Bheda? This is the Abhed.
Lord's desire is oneness with our places.
Arey, what are you speaking here? Talk sense. I am asking what is the difference? What is the Bheda? What are you speaking? We discussed how it is Abheda, where it is there is having oneness. And what is the difference? Proper course, no? I am again showing you the purport. According to Gaudiya Achintya Bheda Bhed Tat philosophy, anything which satisfies the senses of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is also Sri Krishna. Prabhupada puts directly, is also Sri Krishna. For example, Sri Vrindavan Dham is not different from Sri Krishna, Tad Dhamam Vrindavanam. Because at Vrindavan, the Lord enjoys the transcendental bliss of his internal potency. Similarly, the house of the Pandavas was also a source of transcendental bliss for the Lord. As it is mentioned here, that the Lord identified the house with his own self. Thus, the house of Pandavas was as good as Vrindavan. And Vidur should not have given up that place of transcendental bliss. Therefore, the reason for his quitting the house was not exactly a family misunderstanding. Rather, Vidura took the opportunity to meet Rishi Maitreya and discuss transcendental knowledge. Very, very high principle. He left the personal abode of the Lord. Why? To get the association of a saintly person. Vidura took the opportunity to meet Rishi Maitreya and discuss transcendental knowledge. For a saintly person like Vidura, any disturbance due to the worldly affair is insignificant. Such disturbance, however, are sometimes favorable for higher realizations. And therefore, Vidura took the advantage of the family misunderstanding in order to meet Maitreya Rishi. The Prabhupada is glorifying Vidura. What aspect of Vidur is being glorified here? You should participate. What is happening? Why this episode is being told? What aspect of Vidura is being glorified here? He did not leave because of disturbance of mind like we have. घर में कलेश हो रहा है, सब झगड़ा कर रहे हैं, मेरी बात कोई सुन रहा है, अरे छोड़ो यार, जाने दो, leave them, to hell with them. Let me go and find peace in forest. Let me go to Himalayas. ज्यादातर लोग संन्यास क्यों लेते हैं? या वैराग क्यों दिखाते हैं? क्योंकि संसार में किसी से बनी नहीं. अब बनी नहीं तो करें क्या? अकेले तो वैसे ही है, तो बोले चलो जंगल ही चलो या हिमालय में चलो. वो वैराग्य थोड़ी है. दैट इज नॉट वैराग्य. वो बेराग है. हाँ, उनका किसी के साथ राग हुआ ही नहीं. दे हैव नो अटैचमेंट फॉर एनीवन. दे हैव नो रिलेशन विद एनीवन. एंड देन दे से दैट वी आर रिनाउंस्ड. व्हाट, वेयर इज द रिनाउंसिएशन? बोलो, what aspect is being talked about here for Vidur Maharaj? I have already given you such a strong hint. बोलो पुरुषोत्तम.
To for some higher purpose, to gain transcendental knowledge.
हाँ हाँ, वो तो है ही. तो what it shows? What quality or character of Vidurji is reflected from this?
Detachment.
Yes, very good. Detachment. Very good. Detachment or renunciation. If you want to gain transcendental knowledge, or if you want to gain spiritual advancement, this is the most important quality required, is detachment. Thank you. Thank you for giving the right reply. Rajo Vacha Kutra Shatra Bhagavata Maitriyena sa Sangama Kadavo sa Samvada Etad Varnaya na Prabho. And you see, what to speak of Maharaj Parikshit. He is so sharp, he is so alert, he is so awake, and he is so intelligent. Immediately, he does not leave the hint. He dives deep into the hint and puts a question. The king asked Sukdev Goswami, where and when did the meeting and discussion take place between Saint Vidura and His Grace Maitri Muni? Kindly oblige, my lord, and describe this to us. So he wants to know it in full. Similarly, we will see many times. I remember very clearly when the episode of Rukmini Vivaha is there in the 10th canto. In the first two verses of that chapter, Shukdev Goswami has completed the Rukmini Vivaha, but Parikshit Maharaj refuses to accept it. He says, I want to know the full details. Unless and until the hearer is inquisitive, the speaker cannot do much. Unless and until there is a receiver, how can there be transmission? So it is the eagerness and the inquisitiveness of Maharaj Parikshit, so that we have this Srimad Bhagavatam in its such voluminous size. So he puts forth the question to receive all the details. Kindly oblige, my lord, and describe this to us. Exactly as Sonak Rishi inquired of Sud Goswami, and Sud Goswami replied to Srila Shukdev Goswami, replied to King Parikshit's inquiry. The king was very anxious to understand the meaningful discussion that took place between the two great souls. Nahi alpa artha udaya tasya vidurasya amalatmana tasmin varyasi prashna sadhuvada upabhrimata. Very beautiful. Say that vidurasya amalatmana. So what is the saintly quality of Vidur? He is amalatmana. Amala means who is pure, and Atmana means the soul. That means there is no contamination. His heart is very pure, he is a pure devotee. And what is the quality of a pure devotee? Tasmin varyasi prashna. So the question that saintly person like Vidur would have asked, it would be very, very meaningful. So please, in full detail, please describe the conversation that happened between these saintly persons, Amalatmana Vidur and the great sage Maitreya. Saint Vidur was great and pure devotee of the Lord. And therefore his question to His Grace Maitreya Rishi must have been very purposeful. If you put a little attention, you can understand. It's not very difficult. We could understand Vidurasya Amalatmana and Tasmin Variyasha Prashna. So his prashna would not be an ordinary prashna. Not क्या भाव है, आज चांदी क्या भाव है, सोना क्या भाव है, ये कितना लोग है. Variyasha prashna. His prashna would be very high, purposeful, meaningful. And such prashna, you see, anyone remembers the appreciation of Shukdev Goswami by the question asked by Parikshit Maharaj? Anyone remembers the verse? Sadhu Prishto Mahabhaga. What he says, the Sadhu Prishto. That you have asked very, very purposeful question. This will be even pleasing to the sadhus. And here also the same thing is coming. That sadhuvada, that as approved by the great saintly and sages, must have been very purposeful on the highest level and approved by learned circle. Prabhupada puts it in one word, sadhuvada and upabhrimita as one word as approved by learned circles. Learned circles by the great sages, the thinkers. And you see what a beautiful purport comes. Question and answers among different classes of men have different values. Inquiries by mercantile men in business exchange cannot be expected to be highly purposeful in spiritual values. Question and answers by different classes of men can be guessed by a caliber of the person concerned. See, question and answers by different classes of men can be guessed by the caliber of the persons concerned. Many times we ask the students to ask question, because by asking question, we can come to know what is their understanding or consciousness. He will ask to the extent his conception has been framed or formed. Very important, we must ask questions so that the right conception goes and the false conception is cleared. You see how intelligent is Maharaj Parikshit? He didn't lose this opportunity. He didn't say, अरे 4 दिन हो गया अभी तो कुछ खाया ही नहीं है, सोया भी नहीं हो, कुछ पिया भी नहीं हो. No, he wants to know in full detail that what was the conversation between these two saintly persons. In the Bhagavad Gita, the discussion was between Lord Sri Krishna and Arjuna, the supreme person and the supreme devotee respectively. The Lord admitted Arjuna to be his devotee and friend. Bhakto si mein sakha cheti. And therefore, any sane man can guess that the discussion was on the topic of the Bhakti Yoga system. Actually, the whole Bhagavad Gita is based on the principle of Bhakti Yoga. There is a difference between karma and karma yoga. Karma is regulated action for the enjoyment of the fruit by the performer. Basically, karma kand. But karma yoga is action performed by the devotee for the satisfaction of the Lord. Karma yoga is based on bhakti or pleasing the Lord, whereas karma is based on pleasing the senses of the performer himself. Very beautiful explanation. Such precise clarity Prabhupada is giving. Now, what is karma and what is karma yoga? People are very confused. They have no clarity. So karma is performed for the pleasure of the performer himself. And karma yoga means it is performed for the pleasure of the Lord. According to Srimad Bhgavatam, one is advised to approach a bona fide spiritual master when one is actually inclined to question from an elevated level of spiritual understanding. A common man who has no interest in spiritual values has no need to approach a spiritual master just as a matter of following fashion. What is the verse? There's a very beautiful verse from Srimad Bhgavatam, which says, so according to Srimad Bhgavatam, Prabhupada is quoting Srimad Bhgavatam. There's a very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhgavatam. According to Srimad Bhgavatam, one is advised to approach a bona fide spiritual master when one is actually inclined to question from an elevated level of spiritual understanding. A common man who has no interest in spiritual value has no need to approach a spiritual master just as a matter of following fashion. Very clear. What is the verse? Very famous verse, Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is quoting here. What is the verse? Dayashil, you should be knowing this verse. At least 100 times I would have quoted this verse. Yes, speak, Dayashil.
प्रभु जी तद विज्ञानार्थे गुरुमेव अधिगच्छेत्.
No, wrong. That is not from Srimad Bhagavatam. That is from Mundak Upanishad. Prabhupada is quoting here attentively. Here. Those who have done disciple course, they must have attended this. Otherwise, they cannot pass. Manoram, how did you pass if you don't know this verse? What is this verse? Prabhupada is saying is not to take initiation as a fashion. What is the verse? You are hearing me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, one line actually I remember this. Tasmat Gurum Prapadante Jigyashu Shreya Uttamam. That much.
शुक्र है बच गए. तस्मात् गुरुम प्रपद्यते होम जिज्ञासु श्रेय उत्तमम. नॉट मेरी शादी कब होगी, मेरी नौकरी कब मिलेगी, हाँ घर कब मिलेगा, गाड़ी कब मिलेगी. दिस इज नॉट फॉर स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर. इट मस्ट बी तस्मात् गुरुम प्रपद्यते जिज्ञासु श्रेय उत्तमम. When his inquiry is of the highest spiritual level, then he has to find shelter of the spiritual master. You show the verse. This from the 11th canto. Very beautiful commentary is there. Very strong commentary is there. Yes. Tasmad gurum prapadyate jigyasu shreya uttamam shabde pare cha nishnatam brahmani upshrama ashrayam. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness, this is the condition, must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of a bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation. That is Shabde Pare. Shabda means the scriptures, and Pare means who has got the spiritual realizations. Who has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material consideration, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual master. You come down in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, Prabhupada is quoting Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, and he's saying, come down, little down. 1 second. Yeah, what a bona fide spiritual master is one who is expert in all these subject matters, not by his personal imagination or speculation, but by mature understanding of the authorized Vedic literature, which are the literally manifestations of the causeless mercy of the Lord. Okay, come down. Come down, I want to show you one thing. Wow, wait. If the disciple has doubts about the value of Krishna consciousness, the bona fide spiritual master must dissipate those doubts by superior knowledge. One who himself doubts the authority of Krishna or Vedic knowledge cannot become a bona fide spiritual master. It's very important. Very important. So one, unless and until he is Shabde Parecha Nishnatam, if he has clear realizations of the scriptures and is able to convince others, then only he can take the position of a spiritual master. There is one more very strong statement here. Go up. Slowly, slowly. Okay, go up. Okay, fine. So this point is made. Anyone who is actually sincere for real happiness. What is real happiness? Spiritual happiness. Okay, you can close it. Thank you. So a common man who has no interest in spiritual value has no need to approach a spiritual master just as a matter of following fashion. As a student, Maharaj Parikshit was serious about learning the science of God. And Sukdev Goswami was a bona fide spiritual master in the transcendental science. Both of them knew that the topics discussed by Vidura and Rishi Maitreya were elevated. And thus Maharaj Parikshit was very interested in learning about them from his bona fide spiritual master. So how many sets of hearer and speakers now in Srimad Bhagavatam? Huh? How many sets of hearer and speakers? Purushottam?
Four Prabhu.
Okay. बताइए कौन कौन से चार हैं?
Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami
ठीक है.
and Narad Muni and Brahma Ji
नहीं,
and
नारद मुनि और ब्रह्मा जी नहीं है. वो तो रेफरेंस आया था, रेफरेंस था. भागवतम थोड़ी डिस्कस कर रहे हो, वो तो क्रिएशन डिस्कस कर रहे थे. वो भागवतम डिस्कस कर रहे थे क्या? क्या प्रश्न था? नारद मुनि का क्या प्रश्न था ब्रह्मा जी से भागवतम के विषय में?
God creation.
नहीं,
नहीं,
खाली सृष्टि लीला पूछ रहे थे वो. सृष्टि लीला. मैं भी सरप्राइज हो गया कि मैंने तो 3 ही सुने थे, अब पुरुषोत्तम ने एक नया बना दिया. ध्यान से सुनो. आप बोलो. और
then sages and Sonak Rishi.
तेजस एंड सौनक ऋषि एक ही साइड के हैं ना भाई, वो सब हियरर हैं. डाउट है क्या? स्पीकर कौन है?
Sukdev Goswami.
सुखदेव गोस्वामी परीक्षित महाराज को भी बोल रहे हैं और तेजस और सौनक ऋषि को भी बोल रहे हैं. बताओ. पूरा कैंटो निकाल दिया, 2 कैंटो निकाल दिए. अरे कौन है रविंद्र प्रभु? स्पीकर कौन है?
सूत गोस्वामी प्रभु जी.
सूत गोस्वामी है. तो ये सो रहे हैं ये पुरुषोत्तम प्रभु. हाँ, सूत गोस्वामी को ही भूल गए. श्रीमद् भागवतम का शुरुआत वो कर रहे हैं, उन्हीं को भूल गए. और तीसरा अभी बताया मैत्री है, विदुर. एक और लीनेज है श्रीमद् भागवतम का. भागवतम कैसे फ्लो करती है? इट इज द लॉर्ड संकर्षणा who is giving this signs to the 4 Kumaras. That will come. That will come later in the 3rd canto. Suta uvacha sa evam rishivaryo aham prishto rajna parikshita pratyahatam subahuvid pratiyatma shruyatamiti. The Sut Goswami said, the great sage Sukdev Goswami was highly experienced and was pleased with the king. So, see, this dialogue is happening here, and what he has heard from Sukdev Goswami, that Sukdev Goswami is translating or narrating to the sages. So he is saying the great sage Sukdev Goswami was highly experienced and was pleased with the king. Why? Because of his questions. Thus being questioned by the king, he said to him, please hear the topics attentively. Prita Atma Shuyatamiti. Shuyatamiti. Hear with attention. Hearing has always to be done with attention. So I'll stop here. We covered the first 5 verses. I think there is good speed. With discussion also we could do 5 verses. So if we can manage 5 to 6 verses every session, then we can cover in maybe less than 3 years. Hare Krishna. From your side, what is the contributions? Now to you. सब लोग प्लीज अपनी बुक्स रख के बैठा करो. हाँ, दिस इज वेरी सीरियस एंड सिंसियर स्टडी, क्योंकि आप अपना अलग से तो खोल के भागवतम पढ़ोगे नहीं। मुझे तो ऐसा एक भी दिखता नहीं कि जिसके पास लाइफ में इतना सतोगुण है, या इतना वो इवॉल्व हो गया है कि वो समझता है श्रीमद् भागवतम की स्टडी सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है। बोलिए ममता।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी एक डाउट है। प्रभु
बोलिए।
जी इन भगवद गीता में सेकंड चैप्टर में इट वाज मेंशन पार्ट एंड पार्सल। पार्ट
हाँ।
एंड पार्सल इट इज मींस दैट मीनिंग इज सेम अचिंत्य अभेद अभेद प्रभु जी।
यस, टू दैट एक्सटेंट यस। पार्ट मीन्स दैट इट इज सेपरेटेड, है ना। पार्ट है, स्पेयर पार्ट है। पार्ट का मतलब क्या है? वो मेन मशीन नहीं है ना,
हम्म,
उसमें लगती है। और पार्सल का मतलब क्या है? कि इंटीग्रेशन है। पार्ट का मतलब क्या है? कि डिस्टिंक्ट है। और पार्सल का मतलब क्या है?
oneness,
इंटीग्रेशन है, वननेस। ठीक है,
ओके।
गॉट इट। हरे कृष्ण। बोलो भाई, आप में से किसी का कोई प्रश्न नहीं है? हाँ, हमको भी पता है वरीयेशान प्रश्न कब होगा। वरीयेशान प्रश्न, मीनिंगफुल, पर्पसफुल क्वेश्चंस। डिस्कशन कैन गो एट डिफरेंट लेवल। मुझे नहीं लग रहा किसी का कोई प्रश्न है। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी। हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा।